SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E. How are you doing today?
Hey, Bob, I'm doing well on one of our last sort of summery weekends here, right? I mean, I know it's pretty hot where you and I both are, but I think we should enjoy it, yeah?
No, absolutely not. I wish it would snow all the time, so I am not going to enjoy this at all. But this is Around the Table with Ian the Fat Man. That is E. I am the Fat Man. And this is the podcast where we talk about pretty much whatever we want in the sports world or anything in the world, period. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about, it's more of, there's some expectations or there's some rumors out there that players are leaving their teams to join new teams. So maybe the grass is a little bit greener, or maybe they think that they're not getting enough playing time with their current team. And we're going to talk about.
I was just saying, don't worry. These rumors are going to turn into reality. People are going to be moving around, just like last year. We saw it happen once. We saw it. We're going to see it happen again.
We're going to talk about the two. One or two that we each think is going to make the biggest impact on their new team, even though we don't know who their new team's going to be, but their talent speaks for themselves. So, E, I'm going to go ahead and let you start. Who is somebody, one or two, that you think is going to make the biggest impact on their new team if they do decide to leave?
Yeah, I've got two guys whose names have hit the rumor mill, or in one case, I don't know, punched the rumor mill in the face, made it clear that they're leaving. But you know, and I'll bring them both up because they're very similar body type kind of players, but they're just entirely different stylistically basketball wise. One of them, and this one's probably not going to be a big surprise to anybody. They should be on everybody's list out there. Royce Anderson, heavily rumored to be leaving Bay Area Breakers. Didn't think he was used entirely correctly last year. Now, Bay Area had a good year, but I don't know. Trey Hyman, Sean Hyman kind of became the face and stars of that franchise. So if Royce doesn't come back, a really talented player will not surprise me. To talk about Royce for a second, 12th ranked overall player in SimWorld, which kind of says it all right there, but averaged more than 11 points, almost 2 assists, more than 3 rebounds a game, kind of playing a hybrid shooting guard, small forward sort of role for Coach Pope's Breakers, and, was the second most prolific three-point shooter on the team, only behind Caden Shipp, while hitting 47% from the field overall. I don't think I have to tell you all a whole lot about Royce Anderson. You've been watching him all season. You've seen him in the preseason scrimmages that came before this. He's a player who can play. And I'm going to be really interested to see where he ends up. He's a native of Florida who transplanted out to the West Coast in the Bay Area. And the Florida Gators are heavily involved in his recruitment. I could see him in a yacht club or an Atlanta kind of situation, just proximity for that if he's really kind of thinking about coming back home and maybe coming to Florida for college ball. But at the same time, UCLA is kind of thought to be his leader for the next level, at least at this point. There's still a lot of time. Maybe he ends up on Showtime, defects from Bay Area to Showtime. That would be quite a story. But wherever he goes, maybe he goes to the north. I don't know. Wherever he's not staying at Bay Area. I'm pretty confident of that. I don't think he's officially turned in his paperwork.
I think the North would be a big environmental change for him. He went from Florida to California, and then he's going to go up to the north.
Yeah, it would be indeed. But hey, clearly this is somebody who's not afraid to pack up the suitcase and go. We've already seen him do that once. But wherever he's going to go, I think he's going to be a huge impact player next year. He was a big part of Bay Area's successful streak, particularly when they looked like a real race to one contender early on in the season, or at the midpoint of the season, maybe when they kind of peaked this year. I think he's going to make quite an impact wherever he goes. I like Royce's defense, but it's really his kind of educated offensive game where he's got that good size for a kind of hybrid swing guard wing kind of player. He would be at the top of my list, I think, if I was a coach looking to bring in some transfers this year. But to go ahead and mention my other player, and I won't spend as much time, but boy, did he come close to getting my nod on this list. And the news just broke yesterday where he really kind of, burned the bridges and made it official. Out of New Orleans, Louisiana,
Oh, yeah.
Pierre DuPont
Mhm.
spent last season with Africa. You know, there were a couple guys who, American kids who went overseas to play basketball last year. Mike House was another one from Texas going south of the border. But Pierre DuPont, he actually really got to work a lot on his game by playing for Africa last year. Didn't get a lot of press, not a lot of publicity, in spite of the fact that he rose to be the 23rd ranked overall player in the SimWorld rankings. But much like Royce Anderson, Pierre DuPont, about 6'6", 200 pounds, sort of similar height and body type to Anderson, but a completely different type of player. More of a paint beast inside. Be interested to see if he has any growth coming. Maybe he's going to grow a couple more inches still, put a few pounds on. But the undersized big man scored more than 14 points a game, ripped down almost 5 rebounds, and most impressively shot over 60% of the field. Even made a three-pointer, so it wasn't all 2 feet from the bucket for Pierre. But look, he's already getting some looks from big-time programs like LSU, Louisiana Tech involved too. Maybe that's why he wants to come back home, is to kind of further some of those relationships. Would not at all surprise me to see him on Gulf Coast next year. But, silver medal behind what I think Royce brings, but a name that not a lot of people are familiar with, but has a game I think people are going to appreciate it once they see it more next year. I expect Pierre DuPont to return to American shores for next year in SimWorld, and I expect for him to make much more of a name for himself. So those are the two guys I kind of got my name on, or got my eye on, and wanted to name here today, Bob. Maybe you got two guys, or maybe it's just one for you, but who do you like to switch teams and shake things up the most next year?
Well, first, I will say I think those are two very, very good choices. I think Royce Anderson could easily find himself as a top 5, top 3 player if he was the number one guy. At 6'6", he's huge for a high schooler, and I think
great size.
I think he's best fit for shooting guard too, which would be
I agree.
That would be an even bigger mismatch for like, imagine that walking out a 6'6" shooting guard at the high school level.
Yeah. Anybody remember Allen Houston? Great shooting guard for the New York Knicks. Kind of, what was that, 2000s era, I suppose?
Yeah.
I actually, when I see Royce, I think Allen Houston sometimes.
Yeah, Allen Houston, Rashad Lewis a little bit.
That's a good one,
obviously,
too.
Rashad didn't play. I think he was mainly a small forward, right? Maybe some power forward. I can't remember.
He could swing.
Yeah, but I do think Royce Anderson, the mismatches that he could provide for a team is outstanding. I couldn't imagine, like, if I'm building a team, I'm just looking to keep making them bigger and bigger. I'd say Royce Anderson be my shooting guard. I'll find a small forward that's like 6'8", a center that's like a power forward that's like 7 foot. Find a 7'5" center. I don't know. Just keep on. But yeah, and then you brought up DuPont, a great player. Obviously, I think that he is best suited for power forward. But I do think that if he comes home to like Gulf Coast or something like that, I think that he would be for Gulf Coast if that's who he decided to go for. I guess it's difficult. Why is he leaving? Is it because they don't have anybody there? Or he wants to be more of a focal point? If he wanted to be more of a focal point for a team, I think he would stay in Africa because he is the guy in Africa. Fagbenley's leaving, so he would be the guy. So I think that he wants that talent around him, and I think Gulf Coast would be great for him. I mean, you got Suno Chapa, De'Aaron Cruz, but actually, I don't remember or not. I think there might have been another rumor that both Chapa and Cruz may be heading out. I don't remember. There's always rumors flying around, whether they're true or not. People always want to get the scoop. But if you could have De'Aaron Cruz, Suno Chapa, Pierre DuPont out there, Akeem Young, I mean, that Gulf Coast team would be. I might have to consider, if I just commented a couple hours ago about who my top 3 teams heading into next season is, after we did that podcast last week about who our top 3 are. It's ever changing. If Gulf Coast landed DuPont, I might have to put them up in my top 3 heading into the season. But anyways, I'll switch gears to my team a little bit. I'm going to go with one of the more obvious choices. And I have to go with Benari James. The expectation that he is going to be leaving Indy Stripes. He averaged 18 points a game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, he hit 43 3-pointers on this team. Like they're a team that they really spread the ball around 3-point wise. Like he had 43. His brother Barkley had 43. Jay Lewis had 46, 41 from Johan, and White Williams had 33, and he came on late in the season. So it's like if Benari James can find a team that he was obviously the focal point for Indy, but if he is truly the shooting focal point for the team, like they spread this ball around where half their team had 43 points made. Make him that guy. I think we could see someone that could potentially I can't say that. I was going to say someone who could come close to Trey Turner's 3-point record, but I can't do that. That's ridiculous.
You're asking a lot of a kid.
That is, I know. Let me reel it back in a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, he's just he's a great player on every aspect. He is the scorer that you want on a team, and I think he would have one of the biggest impacts to whatever team he's going to go to, especially if they know how to use him. Like he could easily, in my opinion, be the leading scorer in SimWorld Prep next season if he finds the right team that makes him that primary shooting focal point where he's not spreading the ball around as much. My other one, it might be a little surprising. The news, the rumor broke just a couple hours ago. I think that Renzo Bryant could he could drastically change a team just based off of his leadership. You look at his stats, they don't jump off the board. Heartland Zombie Stars struggled a little bit last season. Renzo had he had just about 7 points a game, 2.5 rebounds, almost 2 assists per game. I don't think that speaks on what type of player he is. He is a true leader in the locker room, on the court, off the court, wherever you want. If this kid is there, he's going to help keep the whole team together. And if the rumors are true that he's leaving, I mean, I could think of every team. There's not a single team that I don't think would benefit from a Renzo Bryant on their team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Glue guy, good guy to have in the locker room, just good guy to have involved on your team. And look, he is a player as well. It was a tough situation for him and all of his teammates this year, right? And that's gonna happen. You can't all have championship seasons. That's not the way competitive sports work. You can't all do it at the same time anyway. But look, I think that if he does decide to leave, and I kind of think I think he probably will. I think that you're right that there is not a team in the entire SimWorld Hoops universe that couldn't benefit from having a Renzo Bryant as part of their squad.
Yeah, and I think that I think that one of the most underrated aspects of his game is his defense. Is we talk about players like Gabe Pope, who is probably the top defender in SimWorld Hoops at the guard positions. Because obviously it's really hard unless you have a Ben Simmons type player who could literally defend the 1 through the 5 because of his size. I don't like to say, oh well, Renzo Bryant's the best defender in SimWorld Prep, because then you have someone like Trey Hyman, who is also, you could say, is the best. But at the position, Gabe Pope is talked about as the best defender in SimWorld Prep. I think Renzo Bryant is up there with him. I think because of the team going 10-21, I think that really put a damper on maybe the way people looked at Renzo. But the one thing that
100%.
Like if you go 10-21, nobody's going to really talk about anything positive about your team. Even if there are bright spots. I mean, Carter Fields, great player. He's ranked 24 right now. He's only going to go up. The way that I talk about some of these kids, I feel like I say all these kids are going to be top 10 players. I don't think 50 players can be in the top 10.
No, that's true. Only 10 can at the end of the day, Bob.
But yeah, I think Renzo Bryant is going to absolutely improve whatever team he goes to if he decides to leave. Is he going to join his brother Xavier Bryant? Is he going to follow Coach Skinny to Queen City Kings? Is he going to stay in Heartland? Who knows? Nobody knows. But at the end of the day, I do think, for me, Benari James and Renzo Bryant are 2 players that I think we need to be on the lookout for, of completely being able to change a team around, on top of your choices as well.
Yeah. Well, it's a mutual admiration society here, Bob. We both love each other's picks, and why not? So, hey, you little spirit of brotherly togetherness coming together here this weekend
Yeah,
around the table.
absolutely.
What's
Well,
wrong with it? Nothing.
nothing at all. Well, wait, enough
Yes.
SimWorld prep talk.
What?
The NFL is coming. It is right
that's
around the corner. Got about a week or so. College football started 2 weeks ago. It's football. Football's coming, and people love football. Do you have any predictions for the upcoming season?
I'll keep it high level and simple, and I'll keep it rooted in homerism because I think people know that I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. But my Cowboys are going to emerge this year. I think the Dallas is going to actually have a really nice year. I love the lineup that they put together, both on offense and on defense. I pay attention. I often actually go out to attend a little bit of training camp. I didn't this year for the first time in a few years. But anyway, look, I think Dallas is looking really loaded on both lines. Defensively, I think the Cowboys may be the best team, at least defensive team in the NFC, at least this year, I would say. Look, you got Philly in the NFC East and Philly versus Dallas, and probably that's going to be the best division in the NFL, I think. But I expect Dallas to pip the Eagles for the division crown. The Eagles are good too, but it's just really hard to repeat like that. Nobody's back-to-backed it in the NFC East in about a decade, maybe more. It's just kind of Eagles had a great year last year. There's always some revision that kind of goes on, reverting back towards the mean. Dallas is going to rise a little bit accordingly. I like my Cowboys to win the division, and I like them to get back to the NFC Championship game, maybe even make a Super Bowl. And on the other side, pretty stacked AFC this year. Not unusual. You always got to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills are there and whatever else. But I expect a rebound from the Baltimore Ravens this season.
Oh yeah,
like the coaching changes they've made, like the weapons they've given Lamar Jackson. First time he's got some real weapons there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there's my Super Bowl, Cowboys, Ravens. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet and kick it over to you, Bob. But that's what I got.
Well, I'll keep it even shorter and even sweeter. Minnesota Vikings over the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Go Vikings, go! No, I mean for me, it's extremely difficult to ever. The Chiefs are turning into the Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs are turning into the Tom Brady led Patriots. You doubt them, and they're back. They're there. They never leave. I say they're back. They never leave.
That's right.
So I think it would be a great disservice to say that the Chiefs aren't going to make the Super Bowl, because if I say they're not going to make the Super Bowl, they will. And they'll win.
Fair enough.
I'm excited about my Vikings this season. I do think that we are probably going to win the division. I really like Dan Campbell, despite them being in the division. I do like Detroit Lions. I always hope that they improve.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of my favorite players in the game right now. I love what the Sun God does. I like Dan Campbell. I kind of like Jared Goff. You sort of can't help but root a little for the Lions, can you?
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's one of those teams where it's like you feel a little bad for them because of all of there never really was a whole lot of positive, even when they had Barry Sanders. Like, there wasn't a ton of positive there.
Right.
So you want them to, but
Megatron wasted an entire career in Detroit.
And that's the thing. I mean, they have arguably. I mean, you can swap out the top position or the top player at each position with a handful of guys. I mean, Detroit arguably had the greatest running back in the history of the NFL. They had arguably the greatest wide receiver in the history of the NFL. And what did they do with it? Absolutely nothing. At least I don't know, but I don't know what's worse. Is it worse to have never gotten there, so you don't know how it feels, or is it worse to be 0-4 in the Super Bowl? I was
go
not
ask
alive.
a Bills fan and go ask a Browns fan.
No, not a Browns fan, a Vikings fan.
Well, a Vikings fan too. Yeah,
the Browns have never been there.
Bills and Vikings. That's what I'm saying. Browns and Lions.
Browns, Lions. Is that it? Is there? Who else hasn't made it? I don't know.
Well,
the Texans.
Jacksonville hasn't been there, right? I mean, there's new teams and stuff, but yeah.
I think this NFL season, I look at all the divisions and I feel like this could potentially be overall one of the closest probably one of the close. Like it's going to come down to the wire, and I say that just because there are so many divisions. Whether it's there's so much talent, like in the NFC East, where I don't know who's going to come out on top there, or there's so many question marks with the talent, like the NFC South. It's like you got the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Bucks. I mean, you look at that division, and 3 years ago there was Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and now it's like it's young. You don't know what you're going to get. You got their teams are trying to figure themselves out. I think it's going to be a really interesting NFL season. I just think that a lot of these things are going to come down to the final week or two of the season. More so than recent times. But yeah, so we're going. So who do you have? Do you have the Cowboys beating the Ravens in the Super Bowl?
No, I've got the Ravens beating the Cowboys, and I'm going to be happy enough as a Cowboys fan that we just got back there. That would be fine.
I'm sticking with the Vikings over Chiefs.
Going all the way with the homer. I love
it. All the way with the homerism, for sure. Well, E, I appreciate you hopping on as always. Do you have any final words for the people? Oh, thank you.
No, not really. Just you know that the off-season action is coming fast and furious now in SimWorld Hoops. Turn it back on that front for a minute. So hope you're all tuning in to see the new players, see them in action, catch their new abilities, learn their names because they're going to be rolling off the tip of your tongue in a few months. Trust me.
Absolutely. If you're not already, head over to SimWorld Hoops on Discord, SimWorld 4K on YouTube. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Join it. We're looking for coaches, looking for players. Fill out that application. We have tons of spots still open, and we appreciate you guys as always. And I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And have a good happy Labor Day for everybody tomorrow. Is it Labor Day? Is it tomorrow? Yeah, right. Is it Labor Day?
Yeah, Monday.
Have a safe Labor Day, everybody, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, folks.